Pete Buttigieg, he's our Secretary of Transportation, and sure, he's absolute garbage at his job, but he is gay, and that's the important thing. Pete Buttigieg was once the mayor of South Bend, Indiana. That is his great claim to fame, where he did not properly fill the potholes, but then he ran for president. And lest you forget, he's gay, which means that he was an amazing, amazing candidate. And sure, he dropped out after the first 3 races or so, and sure, he had no experience with transportation, but he does think that airports are romantic, which means that he is delusional, because airports are maybe the least romantic place on planet Earth, unless you really, really like the smell of feet. And he also loves choo-choo trains. This was, as you'll recall, his actual acceptance speech when he became Secretary of Transportation. He loves the choo-choo trains. He's been playing with them ever since he was a child. Well, he loves the choo-choo trains until he decides to ignore their derailments. For those who haven't been following, there's been a major story on the Ohio-Pennsylvania border. A train carrying vinyl chloride derailed and exploded near the Ohio-Pennsylvania border, according to the UK Guardian. And this caused crews to ignite a controlled burn of toxic chemicals to prevent a much more dangerous explosion. So the idea was that we are going to set this thing on fire so that it won't later be set on fire. This then sent a giant plume of black smoke hovering over East Palestine, a town of about 5,000 people who had to be evacuated. Officials warned the controlled burn would create a phosgene and hydrogen chloride plume across the entire region. Phosgene is a highly toxic gas that can cause vomiting and breathing trouble. It was used as a weapon in the First World War. So we are now setting off World War I weapons thanks to derailment of trains. And Pete Buttigieg is nowhere to be found, man. What does that guy do for a living? No one knows. Well, I mean, he takes paternity leave for a living, which I guess is not really a living, but okay. Though no one died in the accident, the catastrophe serves as a wake-up call to the potential for more deadly freight rail derailments. Public health advocates warn. By one estimate, 25 million Americans live in an oil train blast zone. And apparently, Denzel Washington and Chris Pine were unavailable to help make sure that the train escaped the blast zone. So this is all going amazingly well. And again, Pete Buttigieg is completely missing on all of this. Now, there's some real questions to be asked about why exactly they are blowing up the trains. There was really no better way to do this at all. J.D. Vance, who's a senator from Ohio, he says, I'm kind of worried about the environmental harms, to be honest with you guys.
Now, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance issuing this statement today. He says he's horrified by the crash and has 3 big questions tonight. First, are the air and water really safe for residents? He says state and federal agencies' tests are encouraging, but he's heard alarming anecdotes about contaminated waterways and adverse effects on wildlife in the area. Second, what are the needs of the people on the ground? Vance says the local fire department in East Palestine has dealt with the worst of this disaster, and the area needs FEMA's help to get what they need. And third, why did this happen? Senator Vance says his office is going to be investigating the train company's braking system and parts, plus how to prevent this from happening again in the future.
Meanwhile, Ilhan Omar actually put out something sane for a change. I know it's shocking. Ilhan Omar tweeted out, East Palestine Railroad derailment will have a significant negative impact on the health and well-being of the residents for decades. There's almost zero national media attention. We need congressional inquiry and direct action from Pete Buttigieg to address this tragedy. Wow. It's like she Google searched for Palestine or something so that she could get involved. But they're like, really, she is correct on that, Ilhan Omar. Right? Good job. Well, speaking of people who have abdicated their duty, the simple fact of the matter is the government really screwed a ton of people during the COVID lockdowns. The government has screwed a lot of people with its inflationary policies. If you're a business that has survived the past few years, you could probably use a break, and innovation refunds can help. If your business has 5 or more employees and managed to survive COVID, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of up to $26,000 per employee. It's not a loan. There's no payback. It is a refund on your taxes. The challenge is how do you get your hands on it? Go to getrefunds.com. Their team of tax attorneys are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. They've already returned $1 billion to businesses, and they can help you too. They do all the work, no charge up front. Simply share a percentage of the cash they get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those who took PPP, nonprofits, even those who had increases in sales. Just go to getrefunds.com, click on Qualify Me, answer a few quick questions. The payroll tax refund is only available for a limited amount of time, so don't miss out. Go to getrefunds.com. Again, that's getrefunds.com. If you overpaid your taxes a couple of years ago, why exactly would you leave that money in the hands of the government if you could get it back? Go to getrefunds.com again. That is getrefunds.com. Now, every Valentine's Day, some people are trying to find their special someone, and they're looking for particular qualities. Well, if you're an employer, you're trying to find that special someone too, to fill that job role, and that is why you need ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter's matching technology allows you to find the right candidate for your job. If you see a candidate you like, you can easily send them a personal invite so they're more likely to apply. If you're really looking to catch somebody's eye, ZipRecruiter offers attention-grabbing labels that speak to job flexibility, like urgent or remote. You can find candidates you are crazy about with ZipRecruiter. Right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within day one. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire to try ZipRecruiter for free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/DAILYWIRE. ZipRecruiter is indeed the smartest way to hire. Go check them out right now. ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire. We here at Daily Wire have been using ZipRecruiter ourselves for years to make our employees better, and it has worked. That's why we're a large company. ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire to get started. ZipRecruiter is the smartest way to hire. Meanwhile, Pete Buttigieg, he was making the rounds, and he did not have a comment on the train derailment that necessitated the blowing up of World War I weaponry, but he did have some comments on there not being enough black people in construction crews. I am not kidding. This is what our transportation secretary does.
We have heard way too many stories from generations past of infrastructure where you got a neighborhood, often a neighborhood of color, that finally sees the project come to them, but everyone in the hard hats on that project looking like, doing the good paying jobs, don't look like they came from anywhere near the neighborhood.
Right.
You can build community wealth that will help close wealth gaps in this country if we can tear down those barriers.
Oh, well, I'm glad that he's focused like a laser beam on the plethora of white people in the construction industry. I feel like this is a very white person because I know a lot of people in the construction industry. There are a lot of black and Latino people in the construction industry. But apparently, according to Pete Buttigieg, it's all equity, man. It's equity up and down. I can't wait for his explanation as to what happened with the train derailment, but he is worried about white supremacy, and that's really the key. Also, he's been talking about the challenges facing transportation. Trains apparently are not one of those.
It's had its challenges.
Right.
If you look at what the American transportation systems have faced in the last 2 or 3 years, partly because of the pandemic, we've faced issues from container shipping to airline cancellations. Mm-hmm. Now we got balloons.
That's right.
But also the best time ever to be working in transportation because of these resources. And we know ultimately it's in the hands of those who are on the ground that the biggest difference is going to be made.
Amazing statements from Pete Buttigieg. I mean, he's even got the pursed lips to demonstrate to you just how serious he is. It's very, very important stuff there. No mention of the train derailment where we're blowing up toxic materials and creating clouds of phosphine gas over towns. The level of incompetence at the level has this. By the way, this is why I don't believe the UFOs story. You know why I don't believe the UFOs story? Because I actually don't believe that our government is competent to shoot down UFOs. The reason I say that, I don't think our government is good. There are you're telling me that there were aliens who crossed millions of light years to come here, and Pete Buttigieg and team are shooting it down? Joe Biden and team are shooting this stuff down? I think not. And for people who say, well, it's a giant cover-up. It's a cover-up about the aliens. Do you think this can't shoot straight gang is going to be able to cover up anything? Like truly cover it up? They're so uber competent. They're able to cover up aliens coming from millions of light years away and us shooting it down. And we just cover it up like that. No problem. These people can't even put on their shoes in the morning without getting the feet wrong. And yet we're supposed to believe that they're amazing at this. Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show is continuing right now. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be talking with Spencer Klavan. He's the author of a brand new book about the collapse of the West and how we save it. If you're not a member, become a member right now. Use code Shapiro at checkout. Get 2 months free on all annual plans. Click the link in the description and join us.